The mic's always in the way. Like I'm trying to clap here, and my own microphone is in the way. Good morning, everybody. What is going on, everybody? Episode number 50. How the hell did we get to 50? What is going on, everybody? Good morning. December 12th, Thursday, December 12th. I'm about a minute late, which means I got to go till at least 9:01 this morning, maybe even a little later. The hell do I know? I just know that I'm 1 minute behind. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. This is the Sliwa Show. There's actually a reason why I'm about a minute late. We're just kind of seeing some of this stuff that Braun might not go in tomorrow's game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I was trying to catch up on that. Anyways, long story short, we got a great show lined up. Obviously, we're going to spend this one. I actually think probably a lot of Lakers going on here. A lot of Lakers today. A lot of Laker conversation. Had some angles that I want to get into. I want to spend a little time getting into this Charania versus Jimmy Butler's agent. Where'd that come from? Where the hell did that come from? We'll spend a little bit of time on that. Rams got a game coming up against the San Francisco 49ers, a little Thursday night football action. How much fun is that going to be? And there's actually a lot at stake in these games. So that's going to be fun as well. I got a great guest today. Oh, it's a good man. It's a good man. Geeter, Chris McGee of Spectrum Sportsnet is going to join the show. I love that dude, man. He's a good guy, great personality. He's going to join the show, and we're going to we talk a little Lakers, talk some other things. I'm kind of curious. What's his game like these days? Is he still shooting 40% top of the key? I don't know. We're going to find out. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. We got a great show lined up. Thank you for being a part of the show. Like I mentioned from the beginning, episode number 50. Cool little milestone, cool little milestone. You guys have been fantastic. You guys have been great. You guys have been encouraging. You guys have been just phenomenal. I think a lot of times if you're going to do something or go out in your own way, you're going to get fuel from your people. And of course, get fuel from some of my people here. Okay, a couple things here. Where is it? This morning, I had an idea yesterday that I think I'm going to start doing. There's a coffee shop, Light Bulb Coffee, La Mesa, out here in San Diego. La Mesa's maybe 20 minutes east of San Diego, something like that. Maybe a little bit more. Got a little merch too. Light Bulb Coffee right there. What I'm going to do is when I go to coffee shops I like, this is a great place. When I go to coffee shops I like, places that have good coffee, it's a good atmosphere. You could sit around and work. I had a couple meetings there yesterday. I'm like, hey, you know what? I got some business to take care of. Why'd you come on down? Anytime I go to cool place, like there's a couple places in Pasadena that I absolutely love. So what I'll do is, maybe grab a little merch, maybe grab a little bit of their coffee and give them some love here. If there's some local coffee spots, doesn't matter. It could be in San Diego, could be in Los Angeles. Then we'll 100% we'll rock their gear. Why not? Give some people some love. So top of the morning to you. Cheers to you. Cheers to everybody a part of the show. All right, let's get the show started. Chris McGee coming up in about a half hour or so. So I saw this right before the show started. Okay. By the way, top of the morning to everybody. Some people looking right now at what my splits are from the 3-point line, free throw line, everything else. So we'll do all that. I got you guys. Don't worry. Just relax. Okay, it's the first one I'm pumping here. It's the first one that I'm promoting. We'll get there. I'm telling you, there's probably 3-4 different places I go to up in the Pasadena area. So if you guys got some good ones, let me know. And if it's along my route, I will try their coffee. And of course, I'm going to give love to my city as well, San Diego. Okay, they need some love. They need some. LA's gets all the attention. All right, I'm a dual market guy. All right, I just saw this article that came out. I had some notes here about Laker updates. And my Laker updates were going to be very simple. LeBron didn't practice yesterday. He was out for personal reasons. But I wasn't going to make a big deal about it at all because I just didn't think it was a big deal. This one's a little bit different. I feel probably a little bit different about this one. But yesterday, the story had come out. LeBron out, personal reasons. And then this morning, it's funny how I actually caught this. So there was the agent for Jimmy Butler went after Shams yesterday. Shams Charania, obviously now part of ESPN, senior NBA insider, kind of taking the role of what Woj had. And so I was looking to see, just wanted to see, and I'll get into that story in a little bit. But I was looking just to see, I'm like, hey, did Shams respond to any of this? Did anybody respond to, any of that stuff that went on yesterday? And then I look, and there's an article on there. By the way, he didn't respond. Again, we'll get into that a little bit later, but there's an article on there. It says ESPN story with Dave McMenamin, Lakers star LeBron James is unlikely to play on Friday versus the Timberwolves. Let me tell you why this one's interesting. And I'm going to give you guys just a little bit more of the details, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. The article says it would give LeBron, who missed Sunday's game with foot soreness, that was a game against the Portland Trailblazers, 8 days in between games if he returns Sunday against Memphis. Because of the NBA Cup, the Lakers are able to take a prudent approach with the schedule to allow James to recalibrate and recharge his body. LA plays just 2 games in a 10-day stretch from December 9th to the 18th. Coach J.J. Redick gave them a little bit of time off. We know he didn't practice. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Not trying to make a big deal here, but I'm surprised he's not playing tomorrow. It's not the end of the world, but I'm just a little bit surprised that he's not playing tomorrow. Because I thought the reason why he took Sunday's game off was to get basically 6-7 days of rest, 6-7 days to get his body going. It makes me think for a split second there, could be right, could be wrong. Is something else wrong with Bron? Is that foot soreness a bigger problem? Or are the Lakers just basically saying, listen, why are we going to have this guy jump on a plane, head out to Minnesota for one game, and then come back, fly back to LA, whatever they do it. I'm assuming on Saturday is when they do it since the game's on Friday night. Why give him that travel? Why give him that headache? Why don't we just tell LeBron, stay at home? Maybe LeBron's making this decision. Stay at home. We'll figure this stuff out. And when you get back, we'll be ready to go Lakers against the Memphis Grizzlies. But he's already got 6 days off. So the difference between 6 and 8 days, maybe that's a big deal. Maybe it's not. But he just got, this never happens during the regular season. And, we could almost thank the NBA Cup and the Lakers not moving on to the NBA Cup. But if they were in the NBA Cup, if they were in that semifinals, that means that they're winning games. So there's a reason why the Lakers are not. But I do think that there's a little bit of, part of me says to myself, all right, is that foot, is there a little bit more to that foot or not? Because this is the position that the Lakers are in. They can't just really afford to say, well, forget the Minnesota game. I think everybody would agree with me on that one. It's not like the Lakers have built themselves this cushion early on in the season where these games don't matter. No, every one of these games matter. Every one of these games for the Lakers is critical. It's very important. I think we all know that. I think we all understand that. Now, there was some stuff. If you guys remember this, I don't know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, there was some chat about, hey, what was it exactly? It was LeBron, his goal, or he wanted to play 82 games or something like that. Whatever the case was, no, of course he's not going to play 82 games. That doesn't make sense for anybody. It doesn't make sense for LeBron. It doesn't make sense for the Lakers. That'd be absurd for him to try to play 82 games. But I think in this circumstance, the concept is not smart to try to play. The concept's not smart. Honestly, if LeBron plays 75 games, I don't think the concept is smart. Well, here are 2 straight games that he's taken off, potentially. I mean, I don't think it's a lock yet, but if McMenamin and Shams are putting it out there, he's unlikely to play on Friday versus Minnesota. I'm assuming that he's not flying. I'm assuming that he's staying in Los Angeles, and I'm assuming he's resting up, getting ready to go against the Memphis Grizzlies and any aches and pains he can work on. They already got 6 days off, so he's going to get a couple more days off. The challenge for the Lakers is going to be this. And for Laker fans out there that say, I've done some videos on this. I'm going to stop doing them because I think I already got the pulse. There's a lot of Laker fans that there's definitely, hey, can we move on from LeBron? Is this thing done? well, LeBron's going to stay here probably as long as LeBron wants to stay here. I don't see the Lakers making any moves or trading him unless LeBron is basically saying, I want to get the hell out of LA, which we'll see what happens. Maybe if by February 1st, Lakers are really, really struggling, they're not in the picture anymore, he decides, all right, let me go play somewhere else. But nonetheless, no matter what happens moving forward, Lakers are now, it sounds like, at least for Friday, can you beat a game? Can you win a game against the Minnesota Timberwolves on the road? Minnesota's nothing great. They're 12-11. We know that the Lakers have had their fair share of problems with average teams. Denver's 12-10. They blew out the Lakers. Miami's blew out the Lakers. They're average. Minnesota's average. They beat the Lakers. Phoenix is average. They beat the Lakers, blew out the Lakers. So I know the Lakers have had their issues. But for all those that want to see, hey, what does it look like when LeBron's not there? You're going to get your opportunity to see it against a potential playoff team, a team that should be in the playoffs. You'll get an opportunity to see that when LeBron's not there on Friday. But in my opinion, it kind of gives a little bit of perspective of, all right, well, 6 days wasn't enough for LeBron. He actually needs 8 days. That's a little concerning, right? It'd be different if the Lakers had played 3 games out of 4 nights. Maybe it's something along those lines, but that's not the case. This is him getting rest and him needing a little bit more rest, or maybe they just said, you know what, who knows what the hell's going to happen in Minnesota. They're just not in a position to give away games. And if they lose tomorrow and it's another blowout, or even if they lose by 10, it doesn't matter how much they lose by. If they lose, like I said, it's not like they're in this spot where it's okay for them to be losing games. But that's the position that they're in. So it doesn't sound like LeBron's going to go tomorrow. Let's read some of your comments here. We got good mornings. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to everybody. Episode number 50 here on the Sleva Show. Finally back doing some post-game shows tomorrow. I kind of got to be honest with you. Kind of miss doing some post-game shows. It's not very often during the middle of a season you just stop playing ball. That's been the Lakers. LBJ played 22 seasons. Yeah, take a week off. LeBron, rest up. Let's see what else he has. This one, I don't know if that's like an alarms bell. I don't know what that is right there. We have a better chance against the Wolves without LeBron. I think, you know what? That's a little bit where I was going to. I think where I was going to is I think there are Laker fans out there that, we'll be fine without Bron. Yeah, you're fine without Bron if LeBron's no longer a Laker and you're using that money for another star. But I don't think anybody thinks, hey, all you need, the solution here is if LeBron doesn't play, Lakers win. Go play Minnesota tomorrow. You guys saw what D'Angelo Russell did when Bron wasn't there a couple nights ago against Portland. He had 28 and 14. Go try to do that against Minnesota, who actually plays defense and is actually a playoff team and actually has an identity. It's not going to be the same night for D'Angelo Russell. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think what people have to understand here is if you want to move on from LeBron, that's one thing. But while he's still on your roster, you want that man in these games. But there is going to be some curiosity. Hopefully Austin Reeves is back. I think he's going to be questionable for tomorrow as well. But certainly there's going to be some curiosity, especially if he's not there. All right, let's see what else we have here. Yep, we're going to definitely get this. Lakers played better lately without LeBron James, by the way. Okay, go. Let's go see what that looks like. Like I said, let's go see what that looks like once you're playing a team that actually is a pretty good team. All right, let's keep things moving here. By the way, I think a lot of that chatter that was out there, at least from my opinion, I think a lot of that chatter that was out there specifically about LeBron over these last couple of weeks, I've mentioned this to you guys, was Brian Windhorst had something, and Wilbon is making a case he should go to the Warriors, and Kendrick Perkins saying that if he wants out, then the Lakers would entertain it. I still don't think that guy's going anywhere. I really, really think it's very, very unlikely, unless something crazy happens, that LeBron's not a Laker by the time the season ends. Unless he is demanding a trade for whatever the reasons are, I really feel like that's going to be unlikely. Um, I was thinking about this, and there was there were some articles that were talking about Anthony Davis. AD, right now, the conversation's all been about LeBron. Well, I'm gonna switch gears here for a quick second on Anthony Davis. I'll ask people that are on here, and if you didn't watch it live, you can go back and give me your comments. Always appreciate, and I always like looking at the comments that people have after the show. Do you think Anthony Davis plays the rest of his career as a Los Angeles Laker? You think it's more likely that Anthony Davis is with the Lakers for the rest of his career, or it's more likely that in 2 years Anthony Davis is playing somewhere else? Um, the article that Bill Plaschke had in the LA Times, there was an angle there that was basically saying, hey, go ahead and let LeBron go do his thing. Go get as much value as you can for Anthony Davis. Tear this thing down and rebuild. A lot of the time, it's the conversation's been about Bron, but less about Anthony Davis. So I'll ask this question. I think it is interesting to me. Do you think AD is basically a Laker for the rest of his career, a Laker for life moving forward? Or do you think he does find his way on another team, or LeBron ends up leaving? And Jovan Buha had this too. If LeBron ends up leaving, then maybe Anthony Davis will decide that, all right, let me see what else is out there. And let me go try to play with another. Let me try to go compete for an NBA championship. And if LeBron's not here, then I don't think I have a chance to compete. AD is an interesting one because I'm a fan of AD, but one of the things that I think we all have a similar conversation about when it comes to Anthony Davis is this man a player that you can say, here are the keys, this is the franchise, it's not any other franchise, this is the Los Angeles Lakers, there's a lot of pressure, it's unrealistic, the fan base thinks they're supposed to win every single year, the front office is the team comes from a family with the greatest owner in probably the history of professional sports that was basically in the NBA Finals every other year, won 10 championships under his belt. Is that the franchise that you think you can lead? And I will tell you that Anthony Davis, in his time as a Los Angeles Laker, has never made me feel, oh, this dude he's the one. This is Shaquille O'Neal, or this is Kobe Bryant, or this is LeBron James, or this is Magic Johnson, or this is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or this is Jerry West. He's had moments where you feel like that. He's had moments where you say to yourself, damn, I mean, look, think of the start of the season this year, how great Anthony Davis was. And listen, maybe he has some injuries. I know that it's plantar fasciitis, it sounds like he's been dealing with. But think about the start of the season when everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at AD. This is it. This is it. The MVP. He better be in that conversation. And then how quickly it just faded away. What doesn't happen with all those other players that we talked about, they don't just fade away. Kobe might have some bad games. Keys are still in his hands. Shaq might go through a stretch where he wasn't, actually, I don't even remember some of those stretches, but Shaq was incredible and dominating every single season he was a Los Angeles Laker. Maybe not the best player in the world, but certainly more nights than not look like it. LeBron, I don't need to go through his resume. Magic, I don't need to go through his resume. My only question for Anthony Davis has always been, I don't think you're the guy that you would have already grabbed the keys by now if this was your franchise, but you don't. The keys are there. They're laying on the counter. I'm going to grab them tonight. Okay, cool. Well, what about tomorrow? Tomorrow I'm going to be in the passenger seat. I think Anthony Davis, the question of, is he going to be a Laker for life? If now all of a sudden there's conversations out there, hey, if Bron's not here, does AD want to stay? I'd like to see Anthony Davis stay. I'm a fan of Anthony Davis. I'm a fan of what he does on both sides of the floor. But if the Lakers are going to put together a championship roster, and let's say hypothetically it was just around Anthony Davis, and what are the building blocks after that, I don't feel comfortable about that. Now, if you told me they go out there and get another superstar, because that's what the Lakers do, and that's why the Lakers don't typically rebuild, if that was the conversation, then, okay, it's a little bit different of a story. But the AD piece is going to be fascinating to watch here over these next couple of years. What does LeBron do? How does that affect Anthony Davis's decision? Remember, AD only came to the Lakers and only wanted to come to the Lakers because Bron was here. Once Bron got here, then Anthony Davis eventually worked his way over, a part of Clutch Sports and everything else. Does that change if Bron's not here? And I know this, and I think most Laker fans would feel the same way. If you got a player like Anthony Davis, you better go get a player equally as good as Anthony Davis that most of the time enjoys having the keys in their hands, because AD's never really gave me that feeling that he's the player that he's a player that you can depend on and have the best player on a championship team. All right, let's see what we got here. AD needs a Magic Johnson like Kareem had a worthy Cooper Nixon. I don't disagree with that at all. AD gives great games, but then disappears for a few games at a time. AD is a follower. By the way, I don't disagree with these. I really don't. And to be honest with you, I don't know if this is if these are all slaps in the face towards Anthony Davis. I think it's just reality. Now, what I will say, management still has not given him a big man. I don't want to make any excuses for Anthony Davis. I don't think people are saying, I don't think people out there are kind of sitting back and, saying to themselves, I don't think they're saying that Anthony Davis doesn't. Can this team use more pieces? Sure. So can every team in the NBA. I don't know if Giannis, some of these other guys are making excuses, not making excuses, all that stuff. All right, let's keep rolling here. But I do think the AD stuff, that's going to be an interesting conversation when you kind of watch what happens with Bron. Where does everything go from there? All right, some stats on the Lakers' last 10 games, and then I want to get into this Shams thing here real quick. So just, there's a good article from Jovan in The Athletic, and here's another one here. And I think that's kind of how a lot of people feel. AD is not an alpha. He's more Robin than Batman. He needs a co-star to thrive and win. Let's just put it this way. Bron is gone in a year or 2 years or whatever the case is. Anthony Davis is going to need – he's definitely going to need some help, like most stars do. But AD is – I'm not going to sit here and if I was making the argument early in the year he's top 5 in the NBA, he's just not that's just not consistent enough. All right, just one other thing here that I'm going to do on the Lakers. I'm going to get into the Shams thing, and then we'll keep the show moving. So Lakers are 3-7 in their last 10 games. Hopefully tomorrow they could kind of turn things around. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I have no idea what's going to end up happening in regards to that. But if Bron's not playing in that game tomorrow against Minnesota, it's certainly going to be a tough game on the road. But the one thing Lakers have nothing to complain about is rest. Here's some stats over the last 10 games for the Lakers and why they are 3-7. Again, a really good article from Jovan Buha. Look at the Lakers team stats over the last 10 games. They're 28th best in offense in the league. 24th best in defense in the league. And 28th best net rating during that stretch. Over the last 10 games, Lakers struggles on offense. They had some games where they scored 90-something. I think there was a couple 93s and 80. A couple games just barely over 100. Defensively, I don't need to tell you guys. There's a couple 134s in there. I mean, Lakers are giving up points. We know that. So they're bad, not on one side of the floor, both sides of the floor. He also goes into an article about in the article about the best players on the Lakers team, how bad they've been, or at least how much they've dipped. You guys know in the last 10 games, Anthony Davis is averaging 7.5 fewer points than he did over the first stretch of games. What is that? The first 13 games or 14 games, whatever it is. He dipped 7.5 points in the last 10 games. LeBron's 1.3 points fewer. Austin Reeves is 4.5 points fewer. And then, of course, missed some games with his injuries. He goes on to talk a little bit about, some of the health that the Lakers have had. He mentions that the opponents are much different than they are now. When they played Philly, Memphis, New Orleans, they all had injuries. And then all of a sudden they're playing Denver, Phoenix, OKC, Minnesota for the second time. That kind of changed everything, and that had a lot to do with obviously some of the Lakers' downfall over these last 10 games. But it's a really interesting article. It just kind of goes into the responsibility of the front office, the responsibility of the head coaching. But I thought the things that really stood out to me more than anything else, 28th on offense, 24th on defense. The star players are not playing the way they were. Role players are inconsistent. So that kind of tells a story about the 3-7. Okay, let's keep things moving. You guys followed the story. This was kind of an interesting story that was going on yesterday. So there's a lot of rumors right now about a couple players in the NBA, right? Jimmy Butler and Brandon Ingram. Those are the two players. By the way, Chris McGee coming up at 8:30. Those are the two players that everybody's talking about, saying to themselves, all right, Jimmy Butler, there's a chance he'd get traded for Miami. Brandon Ingram, he's out. I saw this yesterday. Brandon Ingram's out indefinitely because of a bad ankle sprain. So I don't know how much that's going to affect it, but he can't get a deal done with the Pelicans. He's asking for big time money. I don't think New Orleans is going to give it to him, nor do I think they can. So they might be, starting to sell some of their assets. But Jimmy Butler's agent, I don't know if you guys saw this. So Shams had put out yesterday. Shams, by the way, just joining ESPN in this last maybe 30, 45 days. I can't remember. Maybe in the last 2 months or so. Shams has been putting out that Heat will listen to offers. Rockets, Mavericks, Golden State Warriors, preferred landing spots for Jimmy Butler. And then yesterday he puts out a report saying that the Phoenix Suns are also among Butler's desired destinations. And then it all starts from there. The the agent for Jimmy Butler goes on Twitter, goes on X, says, all right, listen, I gave you a pass yesterday because I was busy. But if you don't stop putting my name on your complete and utter made up bullshit, is what he says in Twitter, because you normally aren't worth my time to acknowledge. I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm a middle-aged dad, but just know it would indicate severe dislike. World, all this is fabricated. I have never, and honestly, it wouldn't help me or the position I represent to do anything that's been reported by said quote-unquote journalist. He goes on, says something about, ChatGPT, says something about invent the new, I was hacked, carry on all, thank you. Long story short, he goes after Shams. I look to see, I'm like, did Shams put anything out? Should Shams put something out? This is the agent, Jimmy Butler. Who the hell do you believe on this? Jimmy Butler, he was asked by reporters about, hey, what do you make the trade rumors? He's just like, hey, look, any press is good press. It's all good. I'm not worried about it. That doesn't happen very often. An agent does, and especially a real big-time name. We've been talking about this. Woj obviously left. He now has moved on to his alma mater and helping run their basketball program. Shams got the keys to it. This is kind of, he's on an island on his own now. Before it used to be Shams versus Woj versus Shams. There is no competition. It's Shams. And Shams went and signed with obviously the biggest sports network that you could possibly have in ESPN. Kind of a fascinating couple of hours there on X or on Twitter. It's like, what the hell is going on here? How often does an agent go out there and call out, somebody else? If you're Shams, do you respond to it? Do you not respond to it? If you're ESPN, do you respond to it? Do you not respond to it? That's a whole different world. I did not know that was going to be making the storylines yesterday, but certainly was. So I thought that was certainly interesting. Okay. If you got comments, I'm going to get into some of your comments in a little bit, but right now I don't have time for that because when Chris McGee is ready, okay, when Geeter is ready, you just kind of push everybody else to the side and you say, welcome to the show, number one. Thank you for being here.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing well. I miss you.
Yeah, I got to be honest, we don't see each other that often right now.
We don't. I feel like once the Dodgers smashed the Padres and life changed for you, that you just...
How do we end the podcast in the middle? How does it end in the middle?
Oh, man, how's San Diego?
San Diego's, yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know if you've ever been out here. It's not a bad city. Pretty good city.
My whole family lived there.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah,
I know.
come on.
No, I know that. I know that.
Come on.
Okay, so yesterday we were chatting. By the way, of course, Chris McGee, part of Spectrum SportsNet, taking the time to join the pod. We talked about this yesterday. You and I were kind of throwing a couple text messages at each other. I think I told you shirts and skins, and I said your skins.
I'm ready.
So yeah, I'm really very confused why you're wearing a shirt.
Listen,
this is like pickup basketball. It's like pickup basketball. Sometimes if you stay on the court, usually you like to I prefer shirts, but a lot of other people prefer skins. And I thought you'd be a guy that just kind of came on and was like, Slee, it's 8:30 in the morning. I do what I do.
I think when I was in high school, well, for sure when I was in high school, I loved the skins team. I always liked to be free, shooting, moving, a lot skinnier back then. But then as I got older, man, am I soft. Like I'm a beanie in the morning guy walking the dog and it's 62.
Good move. Yep.
Like surfing, like I am already full wetsuit. Like, well, everyone is, it's cold, but like booties, I'm going to go hood. So but I do love, there's nothing like being in warm water, like say Costa Rica, Hawaii, Mexico, where you don't have to wear anything except your trunks. There's nothing better. But that today, too cold. It's too cold.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If you think you've gone soft, I've gone softer. I basically have a sweater on all the time. If I go play hoops later, I'll throw a turtleneck on.
Dude, are you still hooping?
Not really. No. It's more like take 7 shots, take a couple of deep breaths, and then go from there.
I stopped, 2013, 2014. So it's 2014. And I remember the year because it was the second year of our network in the spring. And Luke, I don't know if you remember that year where Luke, because right before he went to Golden State, he had a year where he was done playing. He was working with us. Guy was playing volleyball every day. We had a hoops team. I don't know if you ever heard this story. It was awesome. Like Matt Leinart was on it, a bunch of our buddies, and he was actually the guy who put the team together. And Luke was on that team, and we played in a league. And I went driving to the basket, and I heard a pop, not of the Achilles, plantar fascia. I didn't even on the bottom of my foot, and I went down. I'm 40 at the time, and I have never stepped foot on a basketball court since in a competitive game. I've shot hoop, but that was a sad day for me. It was kind of like, dude, you can't do this anymore.
I'm shocked that Spectrum didn't have a special for you right after that and just had the rise and fall of our man Guido. Okay, you can't wait. I got to tell you a funny story, okay? And I've been wanting to ask you about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's only at halftime. I could be wrong, but you're going to tell me.
Yeah.
Does everybody else notice that when you guys are going to commercial break, okay, you're either throwing a no look, okay, or you're a spin move out of nowhere? I'm like, does anybody else see Geeter literally playing a game of basketball as they go to commercial break?
It's a big crossover. It's a head fake. It's a post up on Rob. It's funny. There are a few people.
Are these premeditated?
In this world that will always text me and they love it. Guy named Danny Boley, who used to own Fonz's here in Manhattan Beach. Guy named Sean Akaza, who watches every game, good buddy of mine. And now you. Like people that really enjoy that move. But you know what's funny?
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say a bad word on this.
Listen. Shit.
Okay.
You can say whatever you want.
So James, big game James, you see he'll do it too. Or when I do it, he always goes, people love that shit, Geeter. They always talk about it when he's at the store. It's pretty funny. So when Big Game says people love that shit,
that's good.
Yeah. I want to see I never know what it looks like from your point of view because I can't see, but the camera guys love it. I'm always like kind of slow-mo. But I don't know what it looks like from your guys' end. So,
well, because here's why I asked the question, because it's kind of one of those. I'm typically watching a game by myself.
Yeah.
So I look around. I'm like, did anybody else just notice Geeter's spin move as they went to? By
the way, the spin move's new, so you must have been watching recently. The spin move is new.
Okay, can I listen? this is your world. It's not mine. I'm just an observer that's watching.
Yeah.
Any possible way that you could kind of jab step one of these times?
Yes.
A little pump fake jab step.
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
Those guys love that I always say shot fake relocate, because that's my pump fake relocate. Because when I was coaching basketball back at Campbell Hall back in the day, that we had a drill where it's shot fake relocate. So I love saying it in highlights. So now those guys, all Rob and James, love saying it. So I'm going to give you a jab step, a little shot fake relocate next game.
The one thing I'm just going to say that I have noticed, and I don't know what your basketball game is. I don't know what it was like back in the day.
I'm going to tell you in a minute.
But what I've noticed is there hasn't been one time that you've been in a defensive position. So all I'm going to say, Geeter, is I'm just going to assume that your ass was all offense. Okay, that you were basically okay. Listen, I haven't seen you get down in a stance. Maybe one of these days you got to stop. By the way, court.
That's coming next too. Then, but here's what's funny. The other day, what I didn't realize is I went to post up Rob. Okay. What I didn't realize was he wasn't defending me. He was posting up me too. So our asses were just joined, and we were both playing offense because no one wants to play D anymore. I want to say that I patterned my game after Magic Johnson in the 80s. Okay, I was a high school player at Crespi High. I was a big basketball school back then. People always see me as a volleyball guy, but that wasn't until later in life. And in college, I actually ended up playing volleyball. But basketball was my love for my entire, growing up and what I wanted to be. And I would later coach it. But I was a point guard. I was, I think, a very good passer. I think I was second in the Valley in assists. Jacques Vaughn was was number one with Didon Thomas, the guy who went to UNLV at Taft High School. But we had good teams. I think I was a good team defender. Not gonna, I cared about defense. At Crespi High School, you have to care. Pistol stance, all that stuff. But when you get later in life and you play in pickup games, I wasn't an in-your-face kind of like always physical defender.
No, you can't. You can't do that in pickup games.
But I knew how to play defense. Help side. I knew how to come over and help. I could take a charge. So I wasn't locking anyone down Alex Caruso style, but I could play team defense. Magic Johnson.
Okay.
Team defender.
Listen, two things, and then we're going to even though we should probably stay on this for a half hour, we're going to then move on to Lakers basketball. Yeah. But two things. Number one, you explaining you and Robert Horry both backed each other down playing offense.
Asses together. Seriously. I'm like, he's not and I'm like, and all of a sudden, like, I get the I pretend I get the entry pass, and I go up, and he's doing the same thing, and I'm like, were you playing offense also? We were laughing.
All right, that's number one. And number two, all I'm saying is, just one of these days, mix in a little bit defense in front of that camera.
I'm feeling okay. I'm a little bummed because Sunday we're going to be at the arena. Oh, okay. Friday. Okay, Friday. I think I go defense on Friday. And then I'm going to have to, next time, I'm going to have to do a little jab, relocate, hit a jump.
Especially a team right now that I think they're 24th in team defense over the last 10 games. So maybe.
Are they 26th on the year? Or did I read that wrong?
Is it that bad? No, you might be right.
I don't know if I read that correctly. It just, we're 13-11, Alan, and I feel like you and I are very, very much the same when it comes to our Laker fandom. We have been Laker fans our whole lives, right? Both are in media covering the team we love. So there's that balance of, am I a fan? Okay, I can't show my passion here. Okay, I can show my passion here. There's a very fine line that you have to play when you're in the roles that you and I have been in for years now. But I said this the other day to B. Moore, Brandon Moore, who is one of our producers. He's a lifer as well. Hooper, Lakers, everything. I'm like, okay, I understand over a long season you're going to lose games you should have won and all that stuff. But can we just take 2 games in the first 22 games, I believe was 23, that they absolutely had in hand and were over? Orlando and Atlanta. Okay? You win those games, you're 15-9. Do you feel different today than a 13-11? 15-9?
So
do you still get blown out the game after Orlando? Is the mindset different if you had won that Orlando game? I don't know. Maybe
no question about it. You feel differently.
Yeah.
2 games this early in the season is massive. So like you just said about the record-wise, 13-11 versus 15-9.
Yeah.
It sounds like such a big difference. So I do think there's something in what you're saying. Listen, I think of all the games this year, what really, really threw me off more than anything else. And I certainly watch you guys when you're doing your stuff in the post game and everything else. And there were times I felt like you guys were even speechless. How they were losing was like, what the hell just happened here?
Yeah.
What just happened here? Like, it got off to such a good start. Like you mentioned, okay, Orlando, it's all good. JJ was actually mentioning this in the, I think, last game against Portland, before the game. He said something to the effect of, I can live with a loss against Atlanta because I knew what happened. I could live with a loss against Orlando because I knew if we just hit a couple more free throws, okay, we're probably going to win that game.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't do anything about what do I do after they lose by 41 to Miami? 27s, 29s, 25s. That's the part that really, I think, not just threw me off and threw you off, but threw everybody off. They went into such a stretch, such a spiral. It's like, where the hell did this just come from?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. And it's funny, I was at work and lifelong friend of mine, Mark Walton, who I met back in my Fox Sports days. He does editing for us at Spectrum. He walked by me and he was like, do you remember a couple weeks ago, last time I saw you, how happy you were with this Laker team? I mean, I was selling him so hard on the team and how much I enjoyed the team.
Sure.
And how the team looked different and how this year was so fun and the style they were playing. And fast forward a couple weeks and now you have that feeling again because, I feel like we've been through this before, but I still believe they're that team. I think losing Austin Reeves was so detrimental to this squad because he does a lot, right?
He's but it's easy sometimes to just be like, it's easy sometimes to not even maybe pay attention that, okay, yeah, Reeves is out, but listen, they need everybody. Vando, we haven't seen yet this year. Okay.
My headphones are cutting out. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
you got me?
Hold on. We got
The good news is I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
I can hear you perfectly.
I can't hear you now. Hold on.
Okay. Do your thing. Take your time. Take your time.
These headphones suck.
Oh,
Alan.
Yeah. No go? No?
Okay, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I switch to a different device?
Yeah.
I'll log in. Come right back.
Yeah. Come back. Do your thing. All right. We'll get Geeter back here in just a second. By the way, how funny is that shit? If you guys notice, this guy I was talking about with his moves and everything else, it's the freaking funniest thing. All right, let me read some of these comments here as we keep going because I know a lot of Laker fans have their opinion and we'll get back to it. All right, these are other people that say they hung it up. I haven't played basketball, like real basketball, yet since COVID. I played a couple times and that was it. I hung it up after 7 years ago after playing at least twice a week for 30 years. 3 years later, stopped with softball. Now taking out the trash counts as work. Yeah, you're not wrong on that. All right, here's another one here. Geeter, have you ever taken an offensive foul by the camera when doing the halftime thing? That's hilarious right there. I'll save that. I'll show that to him. We'll get Geeter back here. He's got to work on his audio, so let him do his thing. But that conversation we were just talking about, just kind of if you think about exactly what we were saying, where how quick everything just changed. And how Geeter was mentioning there, he's telling his friend, kind of selling him on, oh my gosh, this is great. This is going well. Selling his buddy on just how fantastic things were going for the Lakers. And it just changed like that. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to change back. I do know this. He mentioned Austin Reeves. I will tell you this on Reeves. They need everybody. And if Austin Reeves is not there every single night, they're going to be in trouble. And if Jared Vanderbilt's not coming back in the early parts of January, they're going to be in trouble. And if Christian Wood and all these players, Jackson, they need all these guys. They might not sound like a big deal. They're a big deal. When the Lakers, if you go look at their other options on the bench, who do they have? Who are the other options for the Lakers when you go look at the bench? When you go look at some of these other players, there's no depth on that Lakers team. They need all these guys. They're desperate to have all these others players out there. And I think there is something about that. And I think, obviously in the Lakers situation, some Laker fans might be getting frustrated and saying there's nothing here that's going to change this Lakers team around. I understand where you're coming from. I understand why you would be discouraged in those situations. I get all that. I completely understand that. And I'm not here to try to make an excuse for you. What I'm trying to tell you is if they're going to churn things around, a lot of these players that are currently on the roster, including the stars, have to be better. That's number one. And number two, they got to have everybody there, everybody healthy, and that's before them even making any type of trade. So we'll see what happens in regards to that, but we'll try to get Geeter back here in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here, and if Geeter's able to come back and he makes it happen, awesome. We'll see if he's able to do it or not. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears here for a quick second. I'm watching you guys watching these. I don't know why all of a sudden I became the player that's the guy that all of a sudden is watching the in-season tournament. Yesterday they had in-season tournament. You had 2 games. You had Atlanta and you had the New York Knicks. Okay, I don't really care about that. No big deal. You had Houston and the Golden State Warriors. I was really, really rooting for Houston. I'm going to tell you why. They're a really interesting team. Houston and all right, looks like we got Geeter right here. Let's see if we got him back.
Alan?
Good?
So that was a panic. Had to switch to the iPad, go to new headphones.
Okay.
These ones, I'm upset. These are nice headphones, but sometimes the cord gets a little funky. I thought we were rolling. My daughter came in to help me, and it was all good, Alan.
Geeter, let me tell you panic. Okay. I'm going to give you panic. Okay.
Yeah.
So here I am. I mean, I know you know this. You know that right now, each episode I put on probably costs $300,000. You know that. Okay. $300,000. You know the amount of people that I have in the background when all this is happening. Okay?
Yes.
Well, you want to know panic. Let me tell you panic. Panic is when all of a sudden my audio doesn't work.
Oh.
And I don't have anybody else that I could say. Like what you just did right there. You know what you said? You said, Slee, I turned my ankle. Give me a second. Let me just get it wrapped real quick. And I'm going to come back. I'm going to come right back. I turned my ankle, but I was playing one-on-one. That's what happens if my audio goes out. So we made it happen there.
Did you think for a minute I wasn't coming back?
I believed.
You believed, didn't you?
I believed. Yeah.
Appreciate that, buddy.
Okay, so I'll tell you where you were. By the way, somebody, this is the last time, and I know I already said it's the last time. When I said your moves going into halftime, somebody had a really good idea. They said, what if you stand for an offensive foul and the camera goes through you?
Oh, the jib camera maybe can.
I think I have the. Well, I don't think
Brett,
that's safe.
I don't think it's safe either, but I'm all in. If that comes from your audience, I'm doing it. That's a Laker fan.
That's right through the
camera. Do whatever Laker fans want.
And the camera's on you while you're on the ground. Like they go over you. It's like a step over.
By the way, dude, Laker fans are the best, man. Like I'm walking through Target yesterday, and there's this young guy, and he gives me the from across, and I'm like, I probably think some Brez, and I just give him kind of a wave, and then on the way out, I see him, and we end up having like a 15-minute conversation about the Lakers. Young guy, watches every show, like dialed in, knew his stuff. It was actually really cool. His name was Kyle.
Yeah. Let me. You're so right about that too. There's like a connection. Sometimes you don't have to say anything.
100%.
Just they give you one of these, you give them one back, and everybody keeps moving. And both of you already have in your head, got to beat Minnesota on the road. Braun might not play in that one. Like you guys are talking within your own head.
Yeah. Braun, is Braun going to play? We actually talked about that. When Braun's ready to play with the foot, and I think this rest will be great for LeBron.
But are you surprised? I was a little surprised because he's going to get 6 days.
Yeah.
And he needed. I don't know if he needs it or it's just. I don't know if it's just why fly to Minnesota? The only problem is they also don't have all these games are so important.
Yeah.
That.
I'm curious if he plays Friday, but Sunday, whatever it is, when he's ready to go. I don't know. I'm still, basing everything off of what I've seen for the last 7 years, right? Like how many times I've counted it out where, he's not going to play, or,
It's true.
He comes
That's
back fresh and ready to go and revived. And we saw it throughout his career at Miami, Cleveland. He's 22 seasons in. He's earned this break, right? He's earned, the schedule allowed it, right? Last year, the schedule took its toll. The team went full steam ahead, won the in-season tournament, and then took the foot off the gas, because that's what you do when you push hard for something. You have this mental break, physical break in your mind, and then all of a sudden you're losing games. So I think this year it's going to flip. I think the Lakers will be better for it.
Give me, I'm curious, we're still early, 13 and 11.
Yeah.
I mean, semi-early, right? Over
Still
a quarter of the
quarter,
season
yeah.
out. What are you most encouraged about? And then give me some things that you got some concerns on.
I think I'll start with the concerns, because it leads me into things that I'm excited about and confident about. The concerns are just what you and I kind of were looking at. We're hoping the team didn't have those kind of games, not communicating, and losing by 30 or 40 or whatever, and just the competition not there. But then I think about it. It's like, I don't know, man. Like we follow the Lakers like a religion. Like we're talking about every game, and you forget that like every team has these moments. Denver can go lose to Washington.
Sure.
Boston can get blown out. Warriors can get blown out by 50 and then beat Boston 2 nights later. It truly is the NBA. You just don't want to see a pattern. And I think for Laker fans and for the two of us, it just feels familiar. I think that's the concern. It feels familiar to the last few years. And I just don't want us to get behind the 8 ball. I don't want us to be fighting for 9, 10, 8, 7 all the way through. I want us to be above the line. That's the difference I want to see. And that's what we saw for the first 14 games. And I think that was exciting. So I hope that makes sense, Alan. Like that's what I'm concerned about. Listen, if you want to break down the X's and O's, yeah, I'm concerned about Jared Vanderbilt not being back until possibly who knows when in January. Like I'm concerned about Jackson Hayes' ankle, because we need another big to help AD and a guy that can protect the rim and play the vertical game. And we don't have that without Jackson Hayes available. We need Austin Reeves back. This team isn't good enough. It's not built to
100%.
be able to carry the team when the pieces aren't all there. Some teams can get away with that, not many. Even LeBron and AD, when LeBron was playing MVP basketball after they won the title, AD got hurt. Staying afloat was like 500. People look back and like we're all over Kuz and Caruso and KCP and those guys for not being able to hold it down when they were both hurt. But really, when you look back on it, those guys won some games. It's no one's winning in this league. Look at the Suns without KD. They still have Devin Booker. They're 1-9, I think I heard, or whatever it is. It's just the way the league is. And I will say this, and I hate using it as an excuse, but I think to make myself remain confident, if this makes sense, Alan, I do look at their road and their schedule so far, and I say it's freaking brutal. It was brutal, like never going back for one home game, back out on the road. I mean, teams get a little tired mentally, they get fatigued physically, and I think that definitely happened to the Lakers. I just you nailed it earlier, and I jumped on it as well. Like the Orlando Hawks game, those two end up being really big when you look at your record. You're 15-9, all of a sudden you're well above the line and you feel good, but in the middle of that sandwich was the blowouts. So that's where you can start to steamroll the other way and lose your confidence. So I'm just hoping the break will be good.
What do you are you watching a lot of games outside the Lakers, or how in tune are you, or maybe not even watching a lot of them, but are you keeping in touch with the rest of the West? I'm curious to get your thoughts.
So
the Houstons of the world,
not
Memphis now healthy.
Not as much as I will when football is over and the volleyball thing slows down. Like, my oldest daughter, Millie, just got done with her high school season. Now the club season's starting. There's just been a lot going on to start this year where I haven't been as dialed in. NFL's still going. College football's still going. So I start to dial in on other teams. Listen, I'm always keeping track, yes. But in terms of watching the games, I definitely watched a couple games this week more than I I wanted to watch Houston last night. By the way, the end of that game was crazy, and Kerr just eviscerating the refs was pretty awesome. But that Houston team is arriving earlier than maybe I thought. Great coach, great young talent, couple of vets. That just seems to be what the West is right now at the top. I mean, what Sam Presti's been able to do at OKC, and right now it's their conference and everyone's chasing them. They are nasty. They are so good, and it's just amazing what he was able to do, trading Paul George away and hitting a home run with SGA, and then the pieces that you get along the way. Like, I was curious why they didn't trade for a backup big last year, because I thought that's the one position they needed. I felt so confident with the Lakers playing them last year because I watched those games. I was at a Laker OKC game, and I'm like, ooh, we actually match up well with them because of their lack of physicality. Well, they addressed it this year, right? You know what I mean? Like, they've just been home run after home run, and that usually leads to, a finals appearance. So this might be their time. We'll see. But yeah, Houston looks good, and Memphis is, we forgot Memphis just 2 years ago. They were in the same position they are now.
Yep.
A couple different personnel. You get rid of Dylan Brooks and Marcus Smart comes in, and they've had their injuries with Bane and all these guys as well. But John Morant's in and out of being hurt. But when they're healthy, and man, they're young and they're good, and they play defense and they play hard every night. Like, those young teams play hard every night. That's where you can get 17-9 from. You're not going to have these early season fadeaways and mental lapses, right? Like, these guys are charging right now. You'll see the older teams, the teams that have been there, Denver, Dallas, Lakers, Warriors, they're going to ride a little bit of a wave because they're veteran teams. So the youth is good, man. To answer your question, Alan, they're just arriving a little bit earlier than I thought. And I think they're here to stay. And watching them, I'm super impressed, man. It's young legs, Alan. It's length, it's athleticism, it's transition, it's all that stuff that, like, sports are built around. Like, they are all those teams right now.
Yeah, well, you just said there too. They're here to stay. They are.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's not like they're they're here to stay, but you got to continue to do the right things. Like, Sacramento was there, and then they dropped off, even though they have still some great pieces. Super interesting to me. We've been waiting for the Pelicans to arrive from a couple of years ago when they were starting to look like they could take down teams when they won a first round series, and they haven't arrived yet. So the Houston, Memphis, OKC block of teams, they're there. Is Minnesota able to climb back? We'll see.
Yeah,
that was a big trade for them, dude. That was a big trade.
Yeah, by the way, I wasn't crazy about it. And I remember at the time, I'm like, wait, why would you shake this up now? You just got to the Western now is when you want to make that big of a trade?
And I trust the people in that. Like, they've made some great moves. That one surprised me, and you never know what it is behind the scenes. Was it truly like they want to give Ant the franchise? I don't know, man. It worked. Cat worked there with Ant. Cat worked with Gobert. Like, I don't know, man. I didn't see it. I still don't. Yeah,
the last thing here on the NBA, the in-season tournament is I don't know the exact date, but I know it's Houston OKC. And I think if there's one thing, it's funny, as the in-season tournament has gone on, I actually don't mind it as much anymore. It's like, it's all good. These are regular season games anyways. And if you're premiering games on their own, some standalones, it's all good. But I like that you got Houston OKC in kind of an early matchup by themselves. Yeah. That part is kind of cool, that it's not just the same teams every year, or it's that's going to be a fun matchup.
I think I've been asked this a lot by my friends, because I have certain guys that just could care less and want to heckle it. And then they heckle the Lakers because they were excited about winning. And, if that wasn't the Lakers, everyone wouldn't be piling on, right? But I'll say this. Now that the Lakers aren't in it, I don't care as much about it, but I watched. Those are the games I watched. They're standalone games, and they're high-level games, and they were great games. And I'll admit, it was super fun when the Lakers made that run last year. and those games counted. My only issue with the in-season tournament, and I said it last year, and I said it this year, and I'll say it again. I didn't like that the finals didn't count. I didn't like that. I didn't see. You got to figure out a way for that to matter. It matters to the players and the coaches. You win $500,000. That's a lot of money, but it needs to matter.
You're playing an extra game, and you're not getting rewarded for it.
Because it killed. Saying bye to my daughter Millie. It killed the. It killed the Lakers, but the Lakers and the Pacers last year, man, it took them a while to get back on their feet. So.
All right. Well, listen, my brother.
Is that it?
Yeah. Well, you were cut. Listen.
Well, dude, I cut off for 4 minutes.
Okay. Well. Okay. I got one more question for you. I got one more. This is the final one here. Okay. And then, because here's what happens by 9 o'clock, 9:01, and I tell listeners this. I'm like, listen, after 9, it's basically just overtime.
Yeah.
So now there is like think about for you. You're at Spectrum, right? Yeah. The game ends. The game is done. You did your post game show.
Yeah.
How much longer are you still sitting in that chair?
It's funny you say that. We got to do this.
You threw your best stuff.
We got to do the chair segment. I got to do one takeaway for the news, and I'm not happy about it. So what you're telling me right now is you're not happy about it. I thought I was that kind of a draw maybe with the listeners. It was like, let's go 3 more minutes. But I think you're right. You just nailed it, and that really hit home. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When Dave tells me I got to do the one takeaway still, it means I'm in the chair for an extra few minutes.
Well, it has nothing to do with you. For me, it's more like the manager getting a mound visit, and he's just like, look, this guy is already thrown.
Yeah,
we're already down 5. He's given up 5 runs at this point. Either I'm saving my bullpen or I'm taking this guy out of the game.
Yank him.
Okay, I got one other question. When you guys watch games together, Laker games, can you take us a little? What happens behind? Where you guys watching the games at? Is it like full dinner that's going on?
Food.
Who's most animated?
Me.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
Me.
I see
Rob,
Brez. I see Brez being calm, cool, and collected. Right? Yeah. He's good. But give me everybody else.
So the producers, be more very passionate like me about the Lakers. He is nonstop. Ryan Trainer, other producer, huge Philly fan, but has been here since the beginning and wants the Lakers to win. He's funny because it's a Philly perspective, but on the Lakers, right? So you have that dialogue going on. Big Game James always sits in that first seat. We're in a conference room, so he's right next to me. Brez is across. Be more Ryan are across. Rob is usually a little deeper over here next to me. If Allie's there, she's sitting on my left. Food is a huge part of it.
Okay, yeah. So spread. There's a spread everywhere.
Well, there was a spread for years, and now we don't have a spread anymore. So we're all on our own. So the text messages that go on that day and where we've cut and where we're going is a little bit different because we're paying for it. So, it's, hey, are we getting California Chicken Cafe today? Whose turn is it to buy? It's pretty amazing. Food is the number one priority.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. Making sure the TVs work. We need both huge screens, Lakers. I need small screens on other NBA games or whatever NFL game is going on, depending on the day.
Yep.
Super important. Tons of fantasy football talk. If that's going on at the same time, pandemonium. Big Game James, he's hilarious. He gets cold. So he's got his blanket. He cares so much. So
that's out of nowhere. I did not know that. I did not know that.
But if he eats spicy foods, then the sweat comes down the head. Now he's hot. He'll go out by Steph's desk. Steph, she runs our show. She's basically the assistant for everyone and is the heart and soul of the network. She is basically, her desk is at the front. He'll go there and no one's there, and he'll watch on TV there and have little snacks. So Big Game does that as well. Big Game's a roamer. Don't know. Yeah, he's there for a while. He's gone. He's back.
It's Big Game. Yeah, it's Big Game. The guy kind of. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, during the game, if maybe things aren't going right, maybe he's walking around the parking lot, getting a little fresh air. Big Game. Fish
always in the back of the conference room. He's got that chair facing this way, like he's the head of the table looking at all of us. Fish has his Crespi basketball stuff going on. He's got his food. And here's what's great about Fish. It's like E.F. Hutton. When he's talking, we're listening because he just sees things. It's the guy's basketball. Rob, same way, James. You want to hear it. You want to hear what he has to say. right? Like he comes in and boom, he'll hear us talking and then he'll weigh in. Everyone's got their personality. Byron has his teriyaki chicken bowl, and Byron's all in. Byron's not texting. Byron's not doing anything. He's just watching.
All game.
He's all game.
Is there a little bit of that, like Byron and Fish? Is it like two coaches?
1,000%.
Do they get kind of stuck in the
1,000%?
Yeah, no, I'm not roaming. I can't roam.
Because Rob and James will watch it like fans also, which is so awesome, and get mad. Fish and Byron always watch it like coaches. Always. Those guys, all four, they're basketball like acumen and IQ. It's just freaking fun, man. And then sometimes the stories will come up, which I love, especially if Byron's there, because it's Byron and James. So I get a lot of Showtime stories. So it's super cool, man. It's super cool. See, look at that was an extra 5 right there. We did it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. You gotta come in one night and hang out with us, man.
Okay, listen,
that's at any time.
The side stories right there, that was phenomenal.
Yeah,
that was perfect. That's what people want. I want. Listen, I'm the spread, the go-to spread. I don't know what it is. I for all I know, you have like a chef in there, and you're telling the chef, I want Thai food tonight. I don't know what the hell is happening.
I wish. In the early years, I felt like we really had it good, man. The catered meals, we had it good for a long time. That stopped a year ago. Trust me, crushing happens. Now we're getting our own food. But Aki Sushi, my buddy Aki comes and makes sushi. You've probably seen pictures on our social media. He'll come in a few times a year. That is what he sets up tables, and he literally prepares sushi for 30 people. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Geeter, that's good stuff, buddy. Okay,
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother.
Final thing here, just I'm going to keep an eye out for it. I think a lot of people are going to keep an eye out for it. That next move that you make, I'm just saying, maybe a defensive stance.
Maybe a closeout. Into a
maybe a closeout.
Maybe a closeout.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever used to slap the floor when you used to play defense. What if you slap the floor? I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Slap the floor, pistol stance, close out into a box out. That'd be incredible.
My brother. By the way, just so you know, it's episode 50. We got Geeter with episode 50. That's a nice little connection right there.
Awesome. Congrats. And let me know what my, what the reviews were from the people, We want less of him. We want more of him.
Nah, people love
Didn't like when he said this. What's wrong with the headphones? Yeah, so we'll figure it out,
They love
I like to know what the heartbeat's saying.
Thank you,
brother. All right.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Okay.
All right, that's Chris McGee right there, Geeter. That guy's pretty funny, man. That guy's hilarious. He's got such a good personality. I don't know why I think that's the funniest thing. This guy just said that Worthy gets hot. He has a blanket on, but if he eats spicy food, then he's sweating. I'm like, I could relate with him. I do spicy food. You kidding me? Phenomenal stuff right there. Great interview. And really good to kind of get a little bit of inside love there from Geeter. So that was fun. All right, we're going to end the show here. I'm just going to mention one thing here real quick. By the way, I appreciate all the comments. You guys are phenomenal, and thank you for hanging out for the entire show and doing what you guys did. But one last thing I'm going to mention, there's a Thursday night football game tonight. Rams at the Niners. Badass game. This is a chance. The Rams for the first time are over 500. They've won their last 2 games. Big win against Buffalo. The 49ers are playing for their lives. They're 6-7. This is always a good matchup. This is going to be a fun matchup tonight. So what I'll do is I won't really get into the game because we're already at 9:10. You guys know how I feel about overtime. But tomorrow I will break down the game. We'll start previewing the Lakers matchup against Minnesota. So we'll do all that. Thank you for hanging out. Episode number 50 in the books. Phenomenal stuff from Chris McGee. And thank you all for all the time. Buck 10, enjoying the show, the whole thing. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will get back with you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody.